Hi, everyone. I'm curator Lisa D'Amico, and I am here with Andrea Placer, and we are going to talk about her incredible piece called Bromeliad.
Bromeliad,
Yes,
yes.
in the Color of Nature exhibit being hosted by Inside Small. Andrea, it's so nice to meet you. I feel like I know you already because I am such a fan of your work. And this particular piece I find just poetic and beautiful. Can you
Wow.
please tell everyone I personally, I'm interested in your technique, if we could start off there, because it's very special.
Okay. Well, as far as technique is concerned, I work on this particularly, I worked in colored pencil, which is a kind of medium that's not for everybody because you have to be a patient person and be willing to work slowly and to take your time to build up layers of pigment to achieve the colors and the kind of technique that you want, the textures that you might want. If you want something to happen very, very quickly and accomplish a lot fast, this is not for you. Because colored pencil requires that you blend the pigment right on the paper. If you were painting, you would mix colors on your palette and you could add a little this or that, and then you apply it. But with colored pencil, you must build it layer upon layer on the paper directly. Very little erasing and changing is possible, especially after you've got a few layers down. And by blending and layering, you achieve, again, the kind of color, the kind of texture that you want. Some people work very light. They leave some of the paper visible. I tend to like to completely cover the paper so that the work often looks more like what you think a painting might look like, or even a watercolor might look like.
Andrea, I have to tell you something. When the exhibit committee and I looked at your piece, we thought it was a photograph. You are an incredible master of your material. Have you always worked in colored pencil?
No, well, I've not always done artwork. That's the first thing. I was if you care to know a little bit about that, I was an educator mostly for many, many years. I started out a long time ago as a science teacher. Took time off when my son was born, and when I got back into working again, I became a learning disability specialist, and I did that for 25 or more years on a child study team in different New Jersey towns. But I always dabbled in some kind of little artsy, craftsy stuff, just for myself, like a hobby. But when I started to draw, I just felt that this was the right thing for me. It felt right. And I've been doing that ever since for about 20 or so years now. But I started late. It's never too late. I started working in graphite, and I still do that. But I do a lot of colored pencil work now. And so this piece, Bromeliad, was inspired by, as many of my pieces are, by some natural beauty. I like textures, I like patterns, shapes, lines, extremes of light and dark and color. And so I've done a lot of things in that vein. I like tree bark. I love trees, but I like tree bark because of the really interesting patterns that you find when you go close up. Mm-hmm. And very often when I'll do something floral, it's not like a big bunch of flowers, but kind of a close-up look at the intricate patterns and shapes within that flower. And that's kind of what bromeliad came from. It's pretty much it's a tropical flower, but I photographed it at the New York Botanical Gardens, and I work from my own reference photos all the time. I never use anybody else's work or anything that's being published. I want it to be mine from start to finish. So I take pictures, I'll edit them, I'll decide what to keep, what not to keep, what to crop things, so that again, and I usually do crop to come in close and take a closer look at the patterns and the way that the particular object is formed. So that's my little story about bromeliad. And what else might you like to know?
Andrea, thank you so much. For everyone listening, I recommend highly that you see her work in The Color of Nature. I also highly recommend that they follow you on social media and discover your website if they haven't seen it already, and going on this beautiful journey with you in art, because you are such, like I said, a master of what you do, and I am such an admirer of it. So thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm at AndreaPlacer.com if you want to see my website. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.